right, I record and I'm gonna start my screen here.
So there's a lot going on.
All right, I'm gonna open yesterday project.
Itself. Okay, it's okay.
I think he's watching my video. Like I never watch rewatch my video. My voice
So
sounds so good.
time,
Right, and
basically, if we don't
I'm
have
gonna close everything.
this variable here, we do see
Okay, this
array.
is the file that we was
Actually, it's a
like
array
we
of
stopped yesterday.
and the one message means like
There is you yeah.
okay, right? Alright, many
How do I stop him?
and his decisions.
Partition.
So we know
You
to
can
make
unmute him.
I'm gonna mute. All right.
Mm.
Okay, go. So he asked like he hasn't finished the yesterday lab, so he asked like permission to skip this afternoon lab so that he can keep working on his project until he reach the point that he can like continue with the authentications. Right. Let's start with authentications. Where am I? I'm kind of like lost now. Right. So here we go. We understand the flow of our application, right? How to do the authentication, but we don't know how to code yet, and we don't know where to start. So here's a couple of steps that we have to handle. Actually, let's talk about the user story first, right? So the user should be able to register an account with name, email, and password. Yep. So basically, we need a new model for user, and that model has need to have at least 3 fields here, and one more field for tokens, right? Next, users should be able to log in with email and password, meaning we have to store the password in the email, and then we have to check the password if it's correct or not, right? And then we return a token like we already know from the flow here. And lastly, he should be able to log out, obviously. I forgot to mention about it in the slides, but Charles actually asked it. I think it's good. All right. So, and the second part is like we should modify our application so that the bookkeeping app should be able to like each book should have an owner. Like you need to be a member first in order to create a new book, right? Yesterday we don't have to be a member in order to create a new book because we don't have the owner fields inside our books, model. And then each user should be able to see, update, and delete the books that belong to the user only, right? To that user only. All right, so I'm gonna leave this one to you. All right, this lab. So we should to handle the tokens. Let assuming we will focus on these 3 points here. Right? There's a lot of factors we have to think about when we want to do the authentication. But here's the basic one. Users should be able to log in on multiple devices, right? That's a very good user experience. And then if a user log out from one device here, he should not be logged out on other device, meaning like he can keep using the app on, for example, a mobile app when he log out on the web, right? Just like your Gmail, your Google account, for example, if you log out here, you're still able to use it on your phones, right? And there should be a function that the user should be logged out on all device if he click that button, for example, like meaning reset all the session, right? Remove all the sessions, remove all the tokens. Very simple. And you can actually not use not store any tokens at all in your database to complete these 3 stories. But I think right now just keep the token inside your database, and because thanks to that you can do a lot more, right? So right now just keep the token inside your database. You may have to think about the US here. For example, just keep reading it if you have time. This should be additionals, optionals. I actually changed the lab here, but it's not updated last night. Right. So for now, just focus on these first three. Okay. We're gonna start from step by step, and let's go to the code here. I will explain. Actually, you already see the demo this morning, right? So I'm not gonna demo it again, but the app demo. So I'm gonna jump right into the code, and we will have to handle these three the step here. Basically, I have a note here. So basically, I'm gonna copy the note and put it here. So first step, you have to set up a route and a controller for users. Actually, this one is first set up the model for users, and then we handle set up the routes, the endpoints, and the controller for them. We also the first feature is a user should be able to sign up, right? So in order to do sign up, first step we need to collect the username and password, and then we encrypt the password, in other words, hash password, and then we save it. So don't worry about this now. It's just this note is just for me. I've got things easily, so this note is for me. Right. After you register an account, and then next step, the user should be able to log in, right, using the username and password. And then when the user send the username and password, we then will use that password to come to hash it again, right, and then compare with the one inside our database. To that, we can use the methods, and so these two are just actually their own function inside our object, or you can call it functions inside our schema, right? Just something like that, right? And then we return a token, which is a JWT. Next step, user will use that token to send requests to send along with our with other requests, and then we have to listen to the headers and then we need to validate. Uh, Listen to header, or actually read the header. The header. We have to read the header like the for example, in here we are sending a header. Here we're sending something, the token inside the headers. So we need to read the headers and then get the token. And then what? We need to use that token and validate it. And you can call. So now if it's true or false, if it's true, you skip to the next middleware or the next function. If it's false, you may say return response 401, status 401. For example, 401 means unauthorized. 401 or 410, I forgot. I think one of them is unauthorized. So we will use that status code. So basically, these are the 5 steps that we're going to do now. Let's start with the first one. Set up the model. Create another file called users.js. Inside here, I'm gonna repeat the same thing. Mongoose. My head is like stop working. Mongoose, and then you want to create the schema equal to mongoose dot schema. Inside the schema, we have an object. The first thing, oh, I don't, you don't see my face. Where is my face? Right. The first thing is what do we need? I forgot. I'm gonna move our face here. The first thing is we need the well, I forgot the username. Yeah, actually, so we need something like this: username or just email. Email is okay, I think. Just email, and then name, and then password. Right? We need these field at least to store the credentials. We also need the tokens field. So tokens here will be an array of strings. So I decide to pick the options like we will store the tokens inside our database. It will give us a lot of customizations. Right, so we need to do what was first one? Email field, which is type. Why is it? I don't know if there is a type email. I'm not so sure. Let's check our documentation here. And this is how we check the documentation. Go to wait. All right, it's freezing a little bit. Mongoose, and here's the doc. Right, just hit enter. I'm gonna select schema here, and then in schema you will have a couple of type. So there's no type email. It's only string. So we're gonna choose string. String. What's next? Require or not? Require, yes. Email is required. Well, actually, this field here is not a validation. It's kind of like a parser. Basically, Mongoose will look at the, for example, here, author here, for example, here. Mongoose will look at the field and then it will try to pass the value of that field into this type. For example, if you put the name is 1 here, it will look at the value 1 and then it will try to pass from that number to string. It's not a validation. It's a parser to boundary size. And if it failed to pass, it will throw an error and we will understand like, okay, that's type, that's this value here is not a something that can convert to string, for example. So that's why yesterday Hungta asked me that question. And after a little bit of Googling, not really Googling, reading the documentations, I found out that the type here is kind of, it's so smart and so stupid at the same time. So it will try to pass, for example, if you put number, it will try to pass the number into string. If it fails, it will throw error. If it's successfully passed, it will keep the value as a string. So if you put a name is 1, if successfully passed 1 to string, it will keep 1 as a string. It's so smart and stupid at the same time. So in order to like handle the validation for you want to make it perfectly in a string. You don't want to the user to be able to enter a number. You need to do something else called validate. And in this validate, you will have a function. Right, it's an object. And inside the object, you will have a validate as a function. I don't remember if this syntax is correct. Let's go back and look at the author. Just do something here. All right. So it's a function. Inside the function, you have a validator. And so yeah, I'm going to check this one. I don't know why they make the name so different. Okay. This validator is a function. And the function we return true or false. So anyway, the purpose of this function is return true or false. Right. So if it's false, that means you don't pass the validation. If it's true, you pass validation. Right. So what do we want to validate here? We want to make sure this field is an email, right? The value of this field is an email. So we can either use a regular expression, which is very confusing, regular expression, right? To make sure that it's an email. Or we can use a library, which I already have in the lab. We are going to use a validator library, which is here, right? Go on npm.js.com, find the library called validator. This library will help us to like validate a lot of things. For example, these are the functions that it will provide us. So if you look down here, it has a function that can validate whether a string is an email or not. Right here. Oops, sorry. Why? Right. So use this. Wait. Oh, use this, sorry. That's empty. This one is email. So we're going to use this one to check if the string is an email or not. And go back to our website. Here, I'm going to install npm install. What was it? Copy this. Go down. Where the hell is the email? All right. So I'm going to install this npm install validator. Right. And then obviously we have to import it. Validator equal require validator. Cool. All right, so here this function will have one argument as is the value of this field. So let's call it b as value. As I have an example here. You can actually construct inside the function as well. So next step, we're gonna call this function validator.email, and then you put a string inside, something like that. We're gonna return a boolean. This function is gonna return a boolean true or false. So we're gonna call validator this function. As you can see here, validator dot is email, and inside email we will put in the value v here. I'm gonna call it value so you're not confused, right? So the whole validator function will return a boolean true or false, and if it's true, that means the email field is actually an email. If false, it's not an email. All right, we have so many curly braces here. Which is which? This one is this one, this one is this one. All right, we're gonna have a comma, and we need a next field, name. So names, same thing, type string, and require true. Name is required. Oh my god, it's so smart. And we're gonna trim it as well. And this one we're gonna trim it as well. Trim true. Right. The name is required. Do we want the name to be unique? No. So the email should be unique, not the name, right? We use the email to log in. We're not going to use the name to log in. Name is just say something we show on the UI. What's the password? I'm going to put password here. So password, same thing. Password is going to be a string, right? Oh, actually, you have a couple of more like valid properties here. For example, the length. For example, if you look at the lab, I have a couple of them inside the lab here. You actually have the minimum length, for example. You can also like make everything into lowercase. Oh, I think I missed this one. This one is good. Go back to the code. You need to convert like the string here to all lowercase small. We don't want the email to be like capital B and then bitna and then capital K or something. We want everything to be lowercase. Right. What next? I'm gonna copy everything here. Change this one to password. Trim is true. Actually, we don't have to because password is what we're gonna create, and then we save it ourselves, not the user. User just provide us a string, and then we will handle that string, make it into another string, and then we save it. So it shouldn't be so strict on the password. We don't have to. Token is an array. Inside the array is going to be string, so an array of string, right? Cool. Right, I think that's enough for the schema. We can go back and fix it later, so let's leave for now. And then cause model token, no, user, oh my god, equal to mongoose dot model. Here we're gonna put in the username, user for the name of the collection, the model. Here is the schema, right? Schema is from here. We define here, so we call it here. This is to answer to for Kai, you got a problem here. We define the schema here, so we pass in the schema here. So whatever the name is here, you have to use the same name here, right? I did it in different ways, so you may get confused when you watch the video and then just blindly copy and paste. And then we need to export it. Module dot export equal to user, and we are gonna add some more like methods here later. So let's give it some space. Right, so we successfully create a model for user. Now we need to move on to the next step. Set up routes and controller for user. Right, cool. Move on. I'm gonna create new route here. Router.route, and let's put in user, right? And then here we're gonna pause first. We want to create a new user. We're gonna register, so we're gonna pause, and then inside the pause here we will create a controller. Create user, for example, right? Then we need to import this one. Create user from user controller, right? And then you need to create a new controller for that. User controller. Okay. Oh, actually, no one chat anything. Right here, we're gonna export that functions we're talking about. Create user. This one is gonna be a function, and this function will have at least request response, right? This should be an async function as well. We want to deal with the database. All right. So what's the next step? So let's go with create a new user first, right? Sign up. First filter, sign up. So if you want to sign up, what we need? Let's take a sample here. When you want to sign up, register, you need name, you need email, you need password, and maybe you want to use password confirm, but I'm gonna like skip this one so you can do it yourself. So we need name, email, and password. And here we're gonna capture them all. Calls, name, email, password. Right. From where? Request body. Right. So next step, we want to save. Right now, let's forget about hashing. Forget about hashing. Just try to save this information to our database first, right? So how do we do that? We can do try cat, right? Right now, I'm gonna return dot status 400. User doesn't provide enough information or enough data, then 400 we need to JSON message status fail. Then the error or the message, whatever you want. Error is let's say you need to provide email, name, and password, something like that. Looks, if it's hard to see on your screen, I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger. Do we need return? Actually, return is like to make this function stop. So maybe I'm not so sure yet, but what if later on I have some additional code here? I don't want those lab code will be executed. So I would rather use return right here. So that means I stop this function right here. I don't care about the following logics at all if there's an error. Okay. So return doesn't include. Yeah, it's just a function. if you don't have return and right here you have another return response here, it will like sending to respond, and that will be an error. So what do we do here? We trying to create a new user, right? Const user equal to await, remember, and then user dot create, and then we put in an object here. So we want to put in this object, right? And then that's it. And then we return return respond dot status 201, and then JSON, an object status. Okay. And then what's next? Data is the new user that we just created. Okay, this is a normal function to create a new user with name, email, and password. Nothing new. Cool. Let's try to see if it works. npm run dev. Wow, there's no error, no syntax error. Yes, because I haven't called this function yet, so that's why it doesn't throw error. Name is name. Oh, this one is a shorthand for name is name, and then email is email, and password is password. That's gonna be so long, so I'm gonna just do it like this. It's shorthand for that. So you need to import user. Yes. Const user equal to require model, and then user, right? Save it, and let's test Postman. This is the my app, and this is the demo. And let's create another folder here. I'm going to create another folder inside. Wait, what is it? Okay, add a new folder to book demo, right? And I'm going to name this one to be user. Create. And inside user, I'm going to add a new request. Register. This is going to be a post request. And we are sending a JSON. Remember, we are sending a JSON. A lot of people like make it mistake. Me too. We are sending a JSON. Okay, next step we have to use URL, and then the path is, I don't know, forgot everything. The path is user, right? The path is users, and then we need to provide the data. What is it? Name equal to Hua, for example. I'm the first user, and email is my email. My shop. It doesn't matter if it's work or not. The email is real or not. We don't care. And password, I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just 1, 2, 3 is okay. Make it less. So if you have a minimum length, min length inside your schema, you have to follow that. For example, if you have at least 6 characters, you have to type in at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, for example. So right now I don't have that field, so I just use 1, 2, 3, and let's see if it works. Right, I think something wrong there. Stop here, right here. So something must be wrong in our code. Oh, it's actually not. User controller. And all right, something is fair. I don't know where I failed, but oh, actually, oh shit, I used the Heroku, the one on Heroku. Sorry. Oh, so sorry, I made this mistake many times. Like, we are gonna use localhost, and we actually successfully create a new user here, right? But this new user, we as you can see here, when we create a new user, it returns the password field as well. We don't want that. So okay, I'm reading the question from Hưng. So here's the question. Oh, it's too long. Does the order of fields you create in user.js inside our schema have any effect? Because in the user controller, you don't use the same order. So, all right. For object, it doesn't matter, right? For object, it doesn't matter whether you define above or below. The order doesn't matter. Okay. That's yeah. As long as you have a key same. That's the difference between object and arrays. If my server is okay, but no data is returned. What? So I think you're missing await. If that happen, you may miss the await here. My data return. What? What do you mean? Okay. If you don't have await here, so the user will be an empty object, I guess. Right. It's okay. Let's move on. So next step is before moving on, how about we try to hide these two fields from the user, right? We don't want the user to see the password and the underscore v. So how we hide it? So there are actually some function to hide it. Let's go to the lab. I forgot the function. You go scroll down. You will see, as I say here, you will see a lot of things that we don't want to show the user, right? So you can use this method, user command method to JSON. This is the important one, to JSON. So basically, you will do something like this. Go to your schema, to your model. Here, you define the method, and it's gonna be schema dot method dot to JSON. And this is gonna be a function. Inside that, it's gonna be another function. I forgot. Is it? You have to go to documentation to read it. So inside here, oh, it's actually the whole thing here is a method, and that method you can call it the function itself. We use method because methods belong to object, or you can say class. And then upon behind the scene mongoose, when it return the object, the document, or return anything, when you use this one, when you use you use let me show you. When you do dot JSON here, basically express, we try to read the JSON file, and that JSON file come from, actually it's from the user here, come from mongoose. In mongoose, we use this method to return the JSON here. So basically, we can do something like that as well. So we modify this function, this method, to something that we want to use. For example, here, functions, and this function is going to return something. For example, now as you can see, now we return a user here, right? If you look at Postman, we return a user, a new user. But what if I want to return something else? For example, name, name, and do I have to use next? I don't know. Just say, for example, like this, and let's see. What if I create another? How about we test the same email to see if it works? You need to provide email, name, and password. Okay, that means something wrong there. And you can guess the reason is we have a unique here. Email is unique, and right now we are trying to use the same email again, so that will throw an error, and that error we hard code it. You need to provide email, name, and password, right? And actually, if you use error.message here, it's gonna show you this error message, right? Error from here, error. You will see this response. I'm gonna send again. The application key collection. Oh shit! Why did I say something like this? Basically, you need to it's because from this key, the unique here. So basically, there are application keys inside our collections, and what actually is here the email field. The email field, and if you take a look, the application is gmail.com. So you may want to show this kind of message, or you can customize your own message. We will talk about it next week. But for now, you can use either way. You can dot message, or you can custom your own message. How call it? Doesn't matter. This message actually comes from Mongoose. 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 As you can see here, UDIC equal true, and then you can see this message here. So anything, if you can see something like duplicate key, or collections, something like this, index, something like this, it kind of like 99% belong to the database. And right now we are using Mongoose for the database, so yeah, it's from Mongoose. So behind the scene Mongoose, there are a lot of things. So schema method is no, not. The pre method is actually a middleware, and the schema method is not a middleware. It's something that we can actually use. For example, we can use something like this: user dot to JSON. It works. Yeah, because this is not a middleware, so we don't need to use next, right? So what if I change to a different email? For example, I'm gonna Khoa1, for example, no, Khoa2, and this one name will be Khoa1, and I'm gonna send it. So the response is exactly what we type in there, right? As you can see here, the response is exactly what I type here. Cool. So this function, we also have access to something called this again. So the whole this here is a new instance of user. Let's console log this. Console log this. You see a lot of things. I'm gonna spam my mail app again. I'm gonna create user 3 for 3 and then for 3 here, and you should see a console log here. So this console log, you have a lot of things. So this here is the user object, right? And it contains a lot of fields that we don't want the user to see. For example, the password and the version here. So we can delete this by using this syntax. Yeah, so we can do it like this. This delete this dot password, and delete this dot how do I target this one? If I do, does it work? I hope it works. All right, and now we don't want to return this stupid object. We want to return this, right? Let's see what happened. I'm gonna save, and I'm gonna create a user for and see. Oh, what the hell is this? Oh. So behind the scene, when you construct, you only see this you only see this object, but this has a lot of built-in method and values. It's hidden. So we need to, I think, to replicate it. Const let new object equal to this, right? And then I'm gonna delete this, return this object. Let's see what happened. All right, so now we have user 5. Change this one to user 5. Send it. Holy shit. So how do I delete it? That's weird. Just return the key you want. You can also return the key you want, but that's gonna be like what if what if you had an object that's too long, like 20 keys, and you don't want to do it line by line? Instead, you want to delete one by one. Oh, so you have to do something else to object. So to object, like to create a new object with the how do you say, with the public keys. So in this object, in this, actually you have some private keys that when you cancel log, you cannot see it. But when you like return to the client can see it. So we need to use this method to object in order to just return the public keys. So basically you have public keys and private keys. Oh man, I cannot remember everything. So let new object equal to this, and then you two object. It's a method. And then you just delete the key that you want to return. Delete the one you don't want, and yeah, of course, we are deleting the one we don't want to return. I'm gonna save this, and we can test with user number 6. Oh my god. User number 6. All right, so here's the couple of fields that we want the user to see. Imagine you have 20 keys. You don't have to like type line by line. Instead, we want to delete those that is not public. All right, so recap what I'm doing here is that the method to JSON here have the access to the class itself, which is you can call this. Do we need to give a token to user? Right now we don't, because I only want the user to see the token when he actually log in, not create a new account. Right? Create a new account will not return a new token. If we can slot these two objects to see the same return. Yeah, we expect. I expect to see the same thing, because if you construct new object, you see what you see here. They are all public keys, right? Public keys, and there are a lot of private keys that you are not seeing here. But when you return it to Postman to the client, and actually Postman show everything for you. So there are a lot going behind the scenes. All right, I think this is done with this. Now we successfully create a new user. And what's the next step here? I forgot. Yes, done. Sign up. Oh, all right. Right now we are not done yet, because we are storing the password inside our database. If you take a look at the someone chatting, let me check. All right, it's okay. If you take a look at our database here, refresh everything and look at the user, you will see we are storing the raw password, right? This is not a good practice. We should not do that. That we will hash our password to a special string, and then we store it. So in order to do that, we're going to use another library called Bycrypt. Yeah, this library is very famous. There's this kind of library in every language. Yeah, in every language. So basically, you're going to use Bycrypt. Before you use it, you need to install it first. I'm going to install this, and gonna start the server, install. And when we wait for the installation, we can take a look at the documentation here. So basically, we want to hash, to do something called hash. Here's the usage. Import it, right? Import it. And then we have a kind of like sounds routes here. It's kind of like the complexity of our algorithm. Like if you want it to be so super complex, that's only the super machine can decrypt it. We can increase the number here. It's in a lot of language. Can hash. I mean, programming language. When we talk about language, it's programming language. So, right. So here's how we hash a password. We use Bycrypt, and then generate sound. Is it? Oh, let's just use this one. This one is easier. So we give bygrip.hash, and then this is the raw password, right? And this is the complexity of the algorithm, which is 10. And then we have a function. This function is kind of like a callback function. So if there's any error, it will throw error. If it successfully hash, you will return hash here. The hash here is the hash password, the final password. So you also have had the instruction here on how to check the password as well. Oh, you can actually use promise. Oh, if you want to use promise, you don't want to use callback. This is a callback, and if you have a lot of callback, it's going to be a hell. So we want to use a promise here. You can do await bygrade.hash, and then you receive a hash value. We will copy and paste this code in, but let me take a look. Oh, you can use a scene await like this. All right, we successfully install it, and then just import and use like this. I'm gonna, where is it? Here. Let's copy these two lines. Copy, go back to the code, and in here, in author, where is it? Wow, in user. So instead of putting the raw password here, we can do something else. So I want to say hash password here. Password is going to be equal to hash password, right? And then we store it. So we will have to do a lot of hashing logic inside our router, which is not really ideal. We try to avoid something that belongs to the data or the database inside our router, our controller. So instead, we're gonna do it in here. Right, we're gonna do it in here. Let's make this one. First thing first, import bygrade, and the sun trial is gonna be 10. If you look at the documentation and scroll down to the end, there's a note on the routes. So if you have routes equal 10, it will be like, it can, on this computer, right, it can do like 10 tasks in a second. And 10 is kind of like a default value. So I'm gonna use 10 and bygrade. Right, now we can create another method. So right here we have a method called toJSON. Right here I'm gonna create a method. So this method's gonna use generate a token by hashing the password. Hashing password equal function. Oh wait, I think I forgot something. Oh, we don't actually need this. We can use a middleware, schema middleware dot pre, then we resave. So right before we save the password, we can change the value of password right there, just like how we did with just a class. Let's go back and look at the book. Yeah, just like this. So we're gonna use a middleware, reset middleware to modify the password a little bit, like just like this, something like this, right? So go back and resave, and here's a function. This function cannot be an arrow function. It has to be a traditional function, right? So here we have this, but we want to pass the password. It's gonna be this password. As we at long last, at the end of this function, we're gonna do something like this as hash password, right? Something like this, and then we call next, right? So the next here we will like save the password. So let's do it. I'm gonna copy and paste the code here. So we need something like this. Bam. Let's put it here. So I'm gonna let const hash password equal to bygrade hash, and then we don't use then at all. We can use await bygrade hash, and this one is gonna be this dot password, which is our raw password here. And sound route is 10. Cool. We hash them. So route is 10. Nothing wrong. Question: the more routes, the more secure but slower. Yes, yes, yes. Is it okay now? Cool. Then my blend test, but was some other blend test. All right, let's run it and see what happened here. Yes, yes. I wait, and then you use this password equal to the hash password, and then you connect. Yeah, it's in here. Sorry. And npm run there. All right, no syntax error. Test it. So I'm gonna remove a couple of user here. It looks so stupid if I put in the password here. You can either drop the whole collections, right? Drop the whole collection, and then just run it. Cool. Now, if you refresh your database, you see your collection again, the new collection again. Click on it. So password is hashed, right? Is that magic? No, it's just code. Right. Any question about this until this step? I'm gonna recap it a little bit. We actually finished. Let me see where do we what have we done here? We finished the first one and second one and the third one. So we finished 3 steps here already, which is kind of okay. I think you can follow it. Right. Let's recap. We create a model, and there's a couple of new things that we haven't learned yesterday, which is a unique. I think we are in the use unique. The lowercase means we want to change on the uppercase or capital letter into lowercase of them. And then the email here, we have to make sure that that value here is an actual email, or at least it has to be in the email format. We can do a couple of regular expression logic here, or we can use a library called validator. It's not this one is not a library. This one is a library. This one is just a key name. So we use the library validator and to make sure that string is an email in an email format. So we turn true or false here. This here is true or false. Right. So we create another 2 fields for name, password, and token. 3 fields: name, password, and token. Token inside the array is an array of strings. And what's next? Yeah. Next is we create the route. Create the route and route handler, controller, or you can call it controllers. So inside the controller, we do a couple of logic here. We create a new user using the name, email, and password from the client, and then create a new user. If we successfully create a user, we respond with the new data. If we fail, we return a message. Right? Cool. And then we run into another problems. If we return a whole object like this, right? Sometimes you have to manually do something. Data colon a new object, and then the first one is going to be user.name, user.email, user.tokens, something like that. But if your object has too many keys inside, I don't want to do all of that. So I do it the opposite way. I delete the fields I don't want to show by using this method to JSON. So this is by default is a built-in method in Mongoose. So here we try to modify the method ourselves by define the method again. So this method is actually a function, and inside a function we have this because the method belongs to the class schema. Schema is actually a class, or you can call it an object. So inside the object we have this, this has all the value of this instance. So we use it two object method in order to like make a copy of all the public keys, all the public keys. So in this mongoose object, we have schema object, we have a lot of private keys, and we don't want the user to see them all, so we hide them. We only see the public keys, and we delete a couple of keys. For example, the password, uh, who, who, who's me. We also delete the version key. I guess you can put the to transition method after cons user. Yeah. So the order here is very important. Right here we define a user model with all the properties here. So if we define it up above here, if we move this line up here, and then we define the method, it will not work, right? Because right here we will create the model using all of these methods. So this one has to be like 99% of the case, it has to be at the bottom. Pay attention. Actually, this is mentioned in the doc. If you spend a lot of time reading the doc, it is mentioned in the doc. All right, we successfully choose what we want to render here. And then next step, we want to make sure that we are not storing the raw password, right? So because the first rule, the number one rule is that we never store a raw password. We want to raw a hashed password. And then we have to do one additional step. We want to hash the password before we save it, just like this, right? Using bcrypt. And if you don't know how to use it, go to the doc and read how. I just introduced you how to use it here. I'm going to use Sunrise 10, and by default, Sunrise 10. We put it in here, and this is a raw password. So after that, we modify, we reassign it, the new hash password to our raw password, to this, sorry, to this dot password, and then we call the next function. Questions. If we allow pass key in public after hashing, we will see the same hash code like in pass. Trying to understand this question. If we allow pass key, what is pass key? We allow pass key in public. We allow passing the key in public after hashing. We will see the same hash code like in compass. Yes. 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 So if I don't delete this key, right? Let's see if I don't delete this key. You will see the hash password actually. Oh shit! I'm gonna change this one to 7. So, right. So this is what you see. But we don't want that either. So just hide it. Right. Any questions up till now? I think it's good, right? I actually do a lot more than just in the lab. Explain a lot more than just in the lab. Because if I explain everything in the lab, like using text here, it takes forever for me. Right. So delete it to delete what we want. We should. Yeah, actually delete it just delete a key inside an object. It's a syntax to delete a field or key or property inside an object. That's it. So this object here contain all the public keys. So now just delete the password keys. But that field is there. Which field? Which field you're talking about? No, it's gone. It's gone. So now if I log in again with user, did I save it? Okay, I save it. No, delete actually delete everything. Delete everything. So you need to understand the order of this method. This method run like the last method that the whole application will run. So it's run right here. It's run right here. or maybe here. I think right here. So after everything is done, it runs the last thing. It's run like after this middleware. It's run after you save data into your database. It's even run after the post hook. If you have a post hook here, it's run after the post hook as well. So it's kind of like run the last one to run. Right, this method to JSON. They're still encompassed. These information are still encompassed. Actually, oh my, I repeat there what Emily said. They are still in our database. Actually, they're still inside our database. Yes. Right. Questions? No. Then I'm gonna move on. Do we need a break? I don't think we need a break, right? If we have a couple of recap on every step we do, I think it's like I think we should save time. In the book controller, I saw you call book set, but now you didn't call it in user controller. Is it because you use new instead of create? There are two ways to do one thing. Let's go inside book. Yeah, this one I use new and then I use await save, and actually create also do the same thing. Create do the same thing. These two methods, create and save. This one is going to be a static, and save is like a method, more like a method. They all have access to the pre-hook save. So behind the scene, they all do the same thing. Yeah. For user too, right? Yeah, you can. User. Why don't you just away create new user like this? I think what was it? I think we ran into some problem yesterday, so that's why I changed it. What did I? I don't remember, but kind of. So let's move on. Uh, Move on. Sign in. So now you have the password encrypted in your database. So now we want to sign in. Before we sign in, we need to create a route. Then uh, where am I? So sign in. Sign in is gonna be a special route. It doesn't belong to user or it doesn't belong to anything. It's something that kind of like standalone. So I'm gonna do route and then sorry router route. You can either use login like this, also work, or you can use authentication and then login. I'm gonna keep it easy. Authentication and login. Because I don't know if I have a lot more routes inside authentication or not, so I'm gonna keep it this way. And it's gonna be a pause method, and login. Let's call it login. Something simple. And then you have to define this method. And this method, no, this function, this function is controller does not belong to user at all, right? It doesn't belong to user at all because handle to nothing to do with the user actually. It belongs to something else, and that's gonna be auth controller. In here, we may have a couple of more, like for example, reset password, delete token, log out, for example. So we create a new controller for that. And then we have to import it from that controller. Right. So basically we want to keep everything separate. And then I'm gonna save it. It will throw an error because I haven't export any function. Right. So I'm gonna export it now. Export s and the name of the function. And this one is gonna be a function, right? Cool. And it has to be async. We will have request and response. Right. So now we have at least we need at least email and password from request.coding. Right, I'm gonna save it. No error. Actually, there's be error, and we're gonna do something called try and catch again. Return respond the status 400, for example, or let's say 400, because there will be something else in there. Or you can say this one is going to be error code if you want. It can be error code. Let's say yeah, just say that 400, and then you have the JSON return JSON. Someone chatting. JSON status. Status fail, for example. This status is different from this status. This one is status code, and this one our old status. And here's the error. I don't know what's the error. Just get the error from the message from the error here. Right, basically this, and here we're gonna return if we successfully log in. What do we want to return? Can you guys guess? Actually, not guess. You should know it already. So if user successfully log in, what do they expect to receive? Books, yes. They want to see books for this app. They want to see books. What else? The most necessary data. What is it? No, token. We will use token to communicate with each other. We will use token. So we can do return respond status 200. Yeah, we can have actually the username is inside the token as well, already. We would see why you don't want to see your token, but your client, your browser, your React app does want to see it. So I'm gonna send a status equal okay. Then here's the data. The data is gonna be our token maybe. So for now, just put it like that. Okay, now let's call token is something special, right? Let's see what happened here. Let's see what happened here. Right now, we haven't validated anything. We just want to make sure that our route work, right? And let's open Postman. I have a couple of user here, which is so many. Why is it forget? I haven't saved it, right? So create a new route called login. I define it as special. I just want to see the special word here. Let's go here, login, post, and URL, and what was it? Auth and login, right? All right, we actually see it. It doesn't matter we actually send the body or not, because we haven't checked anything. So we see the special word here. Right now we don't want the token to be special. We want it to be something that is automatically generated for us. So we need to stop the server. We need to install the another package. I'm gonna close the validator. We are not gonna use it again here. Some close it. What is this? Oh, you should keep this picture right next to you so you can like take a look at it. It's very important. And what was the one that we want to use? I forgot. JWT. Yeah. So if in the doc you can find a link, you can click on the link, but I don't think I have it. Shit. So go here. Let's open a new one, npm.js.com, and find it. Internet so slow. JSON web token is here. About 4 million downloads. It's okay now. So you need to install it. npm install JSON web token. Copy, paste. Oh, actually, if you type in JWT, I think you will see another result. That's not the correct one. Right. So here's how we use it. We imported JWT from JSON Web Token. I'm going to copy this line. And actually, we will do it inside our model, just like how we did it here. Right? We are not doing that logic in the router, in the controller. So we're going to do it here. I'm going to import it. Const JWT require JSON Web Token. Next, this is how we create a token. Let's copy and paste. Or not. Right. So let's copy and paste this one and comment out this, put it in here. So basically, I will explain. We create a new token using this method sign, and this is the payload or the data we want to send. Copy and paste. So this is the payload I already mentioned earlier. Let's go back here if you want to see. So that's the payload, right? And this is a secret key, or you can call it signature. Basically, it's something secret. And then you don't want to have the secret key inside your code. You want to put it in the environment. So I'm gonna say secret equal super secret. Right? I think people use this word a lot, so don't use it. Super secret. Right? And restart the npm server, npm run dev. So now, instead of using sheesh here, you can use something like this: process dot env and dot shit. I will about capital secret, right? Just like that. And the data, you can send any data now. You can. What are we trying to do? Oh, we want to show the token and as well as the username or email. We don't want to send the password, so we can have something like this: email equal to bar, and then we will have another key called token equal to something that we got from here. So we can change this to JSON token. Let's call it JSON token. JSON token. So this one is going to be our token from the database, for example. Right. So how do we make this one work? Using a method. That's generating a token. So before generating a token, we need a token. We need the what the hell? What am I doing here? Oh no, we don't need to put a token. Sorry, we haven't got a token yet. So yeah, we don't need that. And then the token we will put it inside another object. So right now we have the token. We know how to create a token, but we need like the email, right? The email. We need the user ID from this piece of information. So we need to do one more step. Use email and password to find the correct document or document, right? And then the next step is this step. We generate token for that user, and then we return with the data. So this one make more sense to you. So I did the opposite, like reverse way, from the bottom to top. And here's how we go from top to bottom. Kind of confusing for you. So let's do everything in here first, and then we can move into our method here. Right. So how do we find the user based on the email and password? This is tricky. You can look at the lab and answer it, or you can guess here. We have to use the method find by ID. Oh no, find one, right? We find one using the email to find one, and then we compare the password, and then what? So basically, it's gonna be like this: on user equal to user, right? Dot find one. One mean we only receive one result. We expect only one result, and when we find one, we have put in email equal email, right? So I'm gonna do step by step before move everything inside the model. So cause user await user find one using the email, right? And what's next? We need to compare. So you have to do something like this. If there is no user, haha, we need to check. We gonna throw, or we can return like this, or we just throw an error, and we can say the message here. Uh, uh, what should be user not found? Using that email, we cannot find any user in our database. And actually, the throw here actually is stop everything. It stop the whole function. Still, you need to return there. And then if we have the user, next step we're gonna check the password. So this step, I have two things at the same time: use email and password to find the correct user. So now you can remove the password here and then check the password. Compare password, raw password with hash password. Right. Next step, comparing the raw password with the hash password. How do we do that? We have to go back to the doc and read it. Here we go. The doc. How to check the password? Easy. Compare, and then we can use this is raw password and this is the hash password, and this function will return true or false, right? Uh, so we can use with a promise like this. Right. It's very simple. Hash, and it's gonna be if cause allow equal to copy and paste await compare, and this is going to be our password, and this one going to be user.password. Right, different. This part will come from the user. This one is going to be a hash password, and this one is going to be a raw password. Cool. And we need to use await because this function return a promise. And then we can do if allow. If not allow, we will throw another error. Password not correct, or incorrect password. Just hold on. Right. And then you move on. Next step, you generate a token. So step by step. That's step by step. So how do we move everything into our model here? Ooh, 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 there's a lot going on. I think I'm gonna collapse this one. And let's create so we want to find the user using this. We can actually combine everything to one. Let's say let's create a new method to do it. Schema dot methods. So there's a difference between statics and methods. I have an explanation here. Do you want to read it in English? Hi, where is it? Statics. All right, here an explanation. Sometimes you will see I use statics. Sometimes you will see I use methods. So what the difference between those two? All right. So basically, statics are method that call without the need of initial create a new instance. So you can use directly with your model. For example, you can do model.login with email. right? But then you have to pass in the arguments. How and the method, the normal method is like it's available when you create a new instance. So for example, if you do something like this, uh, uh, Hưng Nguyễn already asked a question. If you do something like this, you create a new instance of the book, and then you do .save. This one is a method, right? You don't do that with the book, the capital book .save, but you will do like a lowercase book. This is a new instance of the book. Right, that's the difference between statics and methods, and we're gonna use with statics because we haven't like create any instance. So I'm gonna use statics. And how do you use it? I forgot. All right. So this one is a function, and it has to be an asynchronous function. Let's go about and look here. So this one is going to be statics, and then we have the name of the method. Let's say login with credential, right? And this another function. If you're not sure when to use arrow function or traditional function, just use traditional functions. Very simple. You don't have to think so hard, right? So this one I'm gonna use arrow function because we don't need to have access to this at all. All right, so this function we will pass in what do we need here? If you take a look at the information here, we need to use email, right? We need to use email and password in order to find the user, and then we use that password to check if that user is the password is correct. So we need two information, email and password. I'm going to copy and paste email and password here, right? So now instead of doing this thing, we can change it to, so I'm doing everything at the same time. So we can do, uh, mm, mm. So this function, this method is going to return a boolean here, allow here. So we will do const login, for example, login equal to this method. This method belongs to the schema itself, so I'm going to use user dot login with credential. With credential, and then you have email and password, right? All right, cool. Midnight looks so sleepy. And then we have to import course user from reply. I think I'm doing differently from the lab. Oh my god, I did it every time I do it. I do it different. All right, so we need to import the user from models from user, and then go down. So now we can use this one, and this function will return a boolean, a how to say how do I say okay, we can either return with a user, or we can either return with allow here and together with user, or just user. I think just user. Yeah, on user login with user, and here we have I am so dumb. So we can copy this, copy one by one. We find the user using user.find1, and then if there is a user, there's not a user, we throw error. If there's a user, then we do something else, right? And then we check one more time. If it's not allowed, we throw the error. If everything went well, we're gonna return user. Return the user, which is the user object here. So cause user equal to this, and let's say let's delete this. We don't need it as well. Here as well, we only have by quick compare. We have everything, so I'm gonna delete everything here. Right. So we move everything into our model like this. And when we when we want to call the function, just do user.login with credentials, email, and password. This method will return the user for us. I think we have to use away here, I guess. Right. Let's see if we can actually return a user. I'm going to return user for here. Let's test this one for testing. What was the password I logged in before? Quad 6, right? Let's log in with Quad 6. Log in, and then we choose JSON. JSON, we have email, and 6 at gmail.com. I don't remember, at gmail.com. Yes. Okay. Password is 1, 2, 3, 4. uh, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh no, only 1, 2, 3, and let's log in. All right, something's wrong there. Stop sending request. Let's check the log here. Right, we receive an error, and here's how we define error. User don't log in with rent, so it's not a function. I think I haven't said it. You have called user await twice. Really? Where? It doesn't matter. This one only inside our controller. This one is it's different scope. They have different scope, so it doesn't matter. So I'm gonna save. I think I haven't saved this one. Right. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Go back and test. Send again. All right. Next error. Data and hash must be string. Oh, holy shit. Data and hash must be string. So this is something wrong in the library. We have to check in the library. As you can see here, there's an error. If it's too small to see, I'm gonna zoom it zoom in. So data and hash must be strings. Data and hash must be string. So this password is a string. Do we pass email and password? Yes, we do pass email and password. We pass in email and password. Right. And email and password here say it's not string. How do I check it? Just stop everything, and then we can console log. Console log email as well as password here to make sure they are string. Test again. Log in. All right. All right. So now password is not string. Shit. It's a number. Shit. If you look at the request here, it's a number. So we have to pass it into string. Oh my god, so stupid. So password here has to be a string, and you can do two string, I guess. Does it have two string? Shit, now I have to Google how to convert number to string in JavaScript. This is how you Google. All right, so you use two string method. Go back to the code, use two string, and then just like that. And I hope it's work. It's gonna work. Let's test again. Send it. Yeah, it does work. Bam. So you have so many little things that you have to like fix. But basically, the idea is that, and you actually pass everything. We can actually log in, right, using the password, and we also receive the user object here back. So next step, we want to, for example, we want to what? Create a token, like here. Next step, create a token. It's in here. Is it too big? It's too big for me. I cannot see. We sign in, we compare, we use method and static, whatever it is, to generate a new token, and then we return it. So right here, we want to generate a new token for that user. So we're gonna do const token equal to user generate token, something like this, right? And this method will return a token for us, right? Wing question was like, he tried to happy. You have called user two times. It doesn't matter. It's the scope. user here belong to this scope only, and the user here belong to this scope only. Right. Then we need one more method, schema dot methods dot generate token. Right, you may ask, why is it a method now? Because we are trying to call this one inside the instances, on the instance, in the instance here, the user instance. So method generate token equal functions, and that function will return. So why now we use function here instead of arrow functions? We use traditional function because we want to have access to this. We want to have access to this instance, this here, the value inside user here. So we have something called this, right? And what do we need? What information do we need? We need to send the email. We need to send the user ID, for example. We also want to send tokens. That token is we generate a token, then we save into our database, and yes, and then we want to send it back to the user. So there's a lot going on behind the scene here. Generate that token for that user, save that token to database, right? And then after all, we return the token to the user. We have two steps. We have two smaller steps inside the big step here. We generate the token. So how do we generate token? Const token is very simple. I'm gonna do something like this. Const token, JSON token equal to, I think we need to await here. Do we? Let's take a look at the documentation. Oh, oh, oh. Synchronous and asynchronous. What's the difference between the two? There's no answer. So whatever, right? So let's go with this for example. Does have to have a way anyway. Actually, you will see an error. Say, oh, for example, here it doesn't have any effect in this type of function, so we don't use await here. From the document itself, there's no need to use await. So this one doesn't return a promise. Okay, so it doesn't return a promise, so we don't need await, and we can say email equal bar. This now it's not equal to bar. It's going to be this dot email, right? What next? And maybe this dot ID. Actually, we should store ID instead of email, because the next time we log in, we want our database to look at the ID instead of the email. It's faster. We have the index on top of the ID, so IDs are gonna run faster. What's wrong with this? You cannot. Oh yeah. ID equal ID, this ID, and then this is the secret key, and then how we sign. Now let's test this one. We return token. Oh, actually we return JSON token. So now I haven't saved anything. You need to do one more step. Save the token into database. But right now let's not do that and see what happened here. Const token equal to user generate token. Yes. Generate token, and then we return the token here, and then here token. Let's see, do we actually see the token? Right, go back to the Postman, test it. What ID is that? We actually see the token. What ID is that? This dot ID auto generated. What this dot ID here is something inside our object here. As you can see, underscore ID. This one is generated by MongoDB. What's the user ID? Yeah, it's the user ID. How do you know that? Because you have this, and where's what the heck is this here? What the heck is this? This is user. the instance, the user instance. Yeah. All right. So what? Someone asked another question. Auto-generated. I think you two asked the same question, right? All right. So next step, we actually when I tested earlier, we actually receive a token right here, right? So now we want to store the token in our database. If you take a look at some online documentation, they will say you don't need to store the token inside your database because that's the purpose of JSON Web Token. But if you have a solid reason to do that, you can store it. So for example, right now, I want to store it because I already think ahead. There are so many scenarios you want to know the list of tokens that you currently have. Right? You want to see how many devices are connecting to are using your account, for example, or you want to kick some device out, right? You want to forcefully kick some device out. And to do those things, you need to store the token inside your database. So let's do it. And how do we store the token inside our database at all now? We can do something like this. User, do we have user here? No, we don't have user here. So this one return a token. Oh shit, we don't have user here. So we want to do one more thing. Or we can do it like this. Let me think a little bit. You can save a token right here. Yes, you can save a token right here. So you can do this dot tokens dot push turn token. You push it to the array tokens, right? And then await this dot save. Bam. Cool. This dot save. And in order to use await here, you need to use async here. Come on. All right. So now this function is going to generate a new token, also save the token to your database into your tokens, the list of tokens here as well. All right. And then we return the token. Everything is fine. Yes, 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 yes. All right. Everything is fine. Let's test it. I'm gonna log in with quad 6 here. Send it. Right. It say okay. I expect that the token is saved. You can check the user collection here. We quad 6 here should have a token. What? Did it not save at all? Why? Did I save my files? Oh shit, I have I haven't saved it. Save it, go back and test again. Send. Right, everything is fine. But I don't see the token back. I think something failed right here. But let's see what happened. Check the database and refresh it. Oh, actually we already have one token inside our array here. Right. If I open it, you see a token here. So why does it not showing here? Go back to the code, check the logic. So await this dot save. Then we return it. JSON Web Token here, and this one's gonna be token. Oh, we don't have await here. That's why. Cool. So if this one is an async function, so we need to await here. That's a must. Let's test again. This time I'm gonna log in again. I expect to receive a token here, and the array token here should have 2 elements, right? So let's click it. It's failed. For some reason it failed, right? Where? Go back to the code. Password is not correct. Oh really? Oh really? Password is not correct. How come? Did I change something? What? Password is not correct? How come we received an error like this? Password is not correct. It's from user line 41. From user line 41. Oh, holy shit. I think, and this function, this method call right here, and the password is not correct. Why is that? Let's test again. I have no idea why, but let's test again. I'm gonna refresh everything here, and I should see only one token. Let's start this one. Right, again. Log in with quad 6. Let's clear everything and refresh everything here to make sure we have the correct information. We have one token, no token here. Log in with the password 123 quad 6. We have the same error. Password is not correct. Can someone help me? Why the hell is password not correct? So the reason why password is not correct is only from the allow here is false, and allow is false because we call password to string. We compare with the user password, and we actually see the password here. So I'm gonna construct one more thing, user.password, right? Because we cannot compare this password with this password. So I'm gonna see, do we actually have? I think we actually have it, as I can see from my database here. The password is here, but I think something wrong when I actually say when I actually set the new password. I think that everything is broken. Let's try again. Refresh everything. Holy shit! As you can see here, I changed this one time. The version here one time. Look, I modified the array one time, so that's why I have the version 1 here. Let's test. All right, take a look at your console. You have qua 1, 2, 3. This is the raw password, and this is the hash password. So now my guess is my hash password was changed. It was changed somehow. That's why we cannot compare 1, 2, 3 and this hash password using compare here. So this one is changed for some reason. If I log in with the quad 7, I'm sure that I can log in. See, if I log in quad 7, but now if I log in again, I expect I cannot. See, same error, even though I just click again. So the reason is when I try to save this, right? When I try to save, I actually activate this middleware, and this middleware will take a look at the password, and it try to hash the password again. And my passwords right here, my password right here, my this dot password right here was, how do I say, this dot password here was something like this, and it tried to hash this string into another hash string. So how do we fix this? How do we fix the problem? Wait, so the middleware jumped to before line 20. Where the hell is that fixing? Oh, actually, whenever we call .save here, this middleware runs. Oh shit, this middleware runs. So how the hell do we stop it? Let's think a way to stop this middleware. So how do we stop it? I don't know. You may have something called if only the password change. Yeah. So you can have a condition here. If this dot is modify. No, but that one is modify. You can do is modify. If is modify, you will do the following things. Else we just skip it. Something like that. So what the hell is this? Is modify. It's basically you check if your object is modified or not. Your document here is modified or not. So let's go, and so now I think we need to like delete these two because the password is like so insane that we cannot use. So I'm gonna delete them, and you have to create the account again. So there's so many reasons that's wrong. I don't think this one is correct. Or is it? Let's go back to one. Hua one register successful, and I'm gonna log in with this account. Copy this. The first time we log in, that should be correct, right? Cool. How about the second time? If you take a look at your database here, nothing's wrong. Everything's perfectly fine. The first time you log in, you have the first token inside your array. You also receive a token from the front end. Front end also receive a token. Whatever I log in again. Shit. So something's still wrong here. Now the password is not correct. As you can see, it changed. God damn it. The first time is here, this one, and the second time, this one. So what if I change? Show her. So what if I copy this and I put it in here? I cancel, I put it in here. It's gonna work, but yes, it works. But I don't want to do that. I want to avoid this kind of problems. I did ditching around. I forgot. Let's go to the lab and see what I did there. I actually have a condition to kind of like to stop this kind of problem, which you will see here. Oh, actually do the same thing here. Wow, that's right. Oh, actually do the same thing. But you will have something is modified, right? So we have, oh shit, I forgot this field. So I checked the whole object, but the whole object there's a key that is modified. Actually, if you take a look at this code, I check. I haven't like I don't have this function. It's a function. It's not a modify. It's not a save modify function. You have to pass in some element, and you can pass in this, or you can pass in the name of the field. For example, the field is password. So that means you're checking password if you change or not. Like here, we only change the tokens field, the field tokens. We don't change the field's password. So there's no need to hash it again. Just like that. The correct logic is like, there's no change in the password. Please don't hash it again. Just like that. And then I need to shit. How do I say? Let's go back and delete this. All right, and log in again. Create a new account again. First time you log in, 1, 2, 3, is fine. I have to go back and make sure I save. I have to make sure I save it. So if it is modified, if it's modified, we will save it. If it's not modified, if it is modified, we save it. All right, and let's log in again. Shit. And check. Is modified, return X. Yes. What's wrong with this? If it's modified and then not, oh, actually I have the logic, reverse logic. So basically, if there's no modification, I will just call next. And if there's a, oh, and if it's modified, we will do it, and it's not modified. So basically the same thing, but I haven't called next in here. So as you can see, if not modified, If not modified, next. If it's modified, we will do it. So the logic is correct, but I think something wrong. This is modified. Yes, this is modified. Spelling, correct. But I don't connect here. Actually, we connect. What's wrong with this? I'm confused. Return next. So how about I do the same thing here and then copy and paste here? That's bad. When you have no idea what you did. But the logic is the same, right? I don't know what. You have to return next here. Shopper. I go to stop the server, run again, delete the data here. I'm not sure if this, we actually changed the password already, as you can tell from the version here. I did delete it and create a new account again. So yes, create account again. Yes, and then log in. The first time it has to work. Yes, second time. So what's wrong here? Wait a minute. The logic is the same, but the code is a little bit different. Why does it stop working? So what did I have earlier? I had this comparing to this. If there's a modify in the field password, you will pass it again, right? If there is no modify in a field password, you return next. Else, you will do this password equal to await hash. Actually, there's nothing wrong, different. The only one thing is that I don't call next in here, but it doesn't matter, right? Same thing. Please tell me anything different. I don't think so. This line only execute if this field modified. So I'm not sure whether this one check. Let's say I'm going to console log again. You can console log like this, console log this, and then I'm going to remove this one. Check it again, log in again. Should work, and you can check false. So it's false. Yes, it's false. So if this one is true, then we return next. What? All right, I think we're done there. I need to take a look at this again in the documentation. Mongoose. If you want to read the docs, you can copy and modify. Right, so you have a document.modify. Document.modify, it will return, oh my god. There's a couple of things here. True, and then false is direct modify. You have a couple of different uses. So basically, if it's modified, you will return true. I don't know. I don't think it's different though. But let's not waste your time here. I'm gonna take a note here. Check again the logic. Right. So that you have you improve. Go back to your code. So now you can log in with an email and password. You actually receive a new token. You take a look at your database, refresh it. You have the user file here, which have the token, like you have 3 tokens in your arrays, right? You have 3 tokens. If I log in the 4th time, I should see another token here. 4 token. Cool. So that's cover this milestone. Sign in. Done. You're done. So lastly, we will do something called authentication, the JWT. I think you can do it. It's just you just create a middleware, a router middleware here, for example. I think you can follow the lab here. This step is harder. The hardest one, and this step is easier. If you go into your route here, and for example, if you want to protect if you want to protect this this book route, create this book route, right? So you may have something called auth, and then you after you pass a auth, the auth will check next. We call the next function, and create book will be executed. So you need to import auth because you can put the auth inside your controller as well. It doesn't matter. Even though it's a middleware, I don't want to create a new file just for this one middleware. So we can put it in auth here, and in the auth here you can do box dot auth. What does do though? You need to use async in order to compare the tokens. And this one's gonna be a function. This function gonna be request, address, and next. So after everything is done, you're gonna call next, right? Meaning the authentication is passed. Authentication you're gonna call next. If it doesn't pass, you say throw an error, for example. You can actually respond right away here though. You can return respond right away. We will see. Right now, just call next, and I'm gonna save this one. There's no error, right? Let's stop it. Let's not. Let's respond. Let's return respond dot status for 10. It means you're not allowed, right? So I'm gonna save and test our function here. Let's say I log in. No, I create a new book. Let's go to create a new book, and this body. Do we have the author and something like that? No, it doesn't matter. So if you do something like this, it will stop. Everything will stop. Wait, it doesn't even connect. Respond. Next request respond. Next return response status for 10. Why that is not working? Hang on, let me check. If we allow next, what happened? Right, we receive something back, but if we don't allow next, so I think we have to connect. Why do we have to connect? We can actually pass in the right, the auth here, oh shit, go back to the code. I think you're confused now. I'm confused as well. Return status, and then we have JSON. Let's say fail. Return response status fail. That's good. Yeah, actually you need a JSON.json in order to send a response. So basically, yeah. What the hell is gone? So it's 401. Sorry. Save it and send again. All right, another right 401. So so 110 still go through, but what for one is we stop. I'm talking to myself. Sorry. That's how I explain it. So let's say I'm going to remove the JSON here. Sorry, JSON here. Save it. Send again. Shit. Right. So you need .json in order to request to send through to the response to go through. And then the status code is just like a decorator, the header for your status. And then, so here in the lab, you will have to do a couple of more steps. Like for example, you have to check if the token is correct. You may have to check if token is correct. And how you know it? You need to do something like request dot headers, and then you need to look at the keys here. And how do we get this key? Let's say I'm going to console log this key for you. Right, console log this key. And in your request, if you don't send anything, if you don't send anything, the keys will be undefined. If you send something, let's say I'm going to send something, I'm going to send the header with the key is authorizations, and then let's say I send something stupid and send it, right? So you receive it, right? If you look at the console log here, you receive something here, and then you have to do it yourself. I'm not gonna go to the demo. It's not something so so new to you. You look at this string here, and then you have to compare with the string inside your database, right? And then you can find out the how to say, where's the hell is our database? Here is our database. You have to look at the string here. You can like do something like db.collection.find, and then you find all inside all the arrays. For example, if you have two user, you have to find two arrays, or you can just decode it. Check if there's a token, and you check if there is a token first, right? And then you have to check if token is valid. How do you know it's valid or not? We're gonna use the same algorithm in order to decrypt it by using same algorithm and key signature to decode it. So basically, if you take a look at the JSON Web Token package here, you will have something called verify. So basically, verify is like you take the token, right, JSON Web Token, and combine with the secret key inside your env, and then you get the results decoded. Decoded will be enough the payload here, the payload here, the payload here. So you will see something back here, and then you will look at the ID in there. Look at the ID, run the queries, find the ID, and then just find the ID is okay. Yeah, find the ID is okay. Or you want to be like more precise, you can find the ID together with the token to make sure that token is correct as well. That token exists in our database as well. By doing this, it's kind of like save your resource comparing to look at the tokens directly in the tokens properties inside a millions of documents. So you have two ways to do it, but I prefer doing this way, even though you have to code more. But if you have more user, it's run faster this way. So it depends on you. And if it's correct, you will connect. If it fail, you will return right away here. Right, nothing new. Questions? Oops. Close this one. Close this one. I will leave this. What's bytecrypt for? Hashing the password. Yeah. Close one. Only use. Any question? I think I lost someone because of this stupid mistake. This one's weird. So any questions right here about this step here? The application, where is it? Applications, and we create, when we log in, when we sign in, we compare the password, right? We compare the password using this method. Right. If the password is correct, we return the user object. And then next step, we need to create the tokens for that user using this method. This is static method. Using this method, we return the token as well as we save the new token into our database. But there was a big problem because when I call save here, this save middleware is like execute by default. It's executed, and then it's try to hash the original. It's not. It try to hash the already hashed password again, and that's why we ran into a problem where we cannot log in the second time because the password in our database was changed. And yeah, so we need to do some additional step. For example, here, if the password field inside our in our object in our this object wasn't modified, we will just skip it. Else we will bygrave it again, we will hash it again, and then we connect. My logic before was correct as well. I don't know why it stopped working. It didn't work, but I will check it. Right, and then uh, you can sign in, and then you need to next step you need to authentication the token using a middleware called OAuth here. It's not OAuth, it means auth, or you can call it login require or something. And you call it middleware right before the in controller, like this. Cool. So if you have one more route, and this route gonna be put. Is it? Right. If you have another route and this route is gonna be put, and this one is you want to update the book, you also need to use auth here in order to protect this route, right? And this auth function, or you can call it middleware, is basically it has the same attribute. It has the same arguments: request, response, and next. You need to use async here because you want to look at your database. So I put async here. Here you read the headers using this syntax: request.headers, authorization. If there is no short key in the header, you will stop the user right away. You don't have to do anything in your database to set the resources. And then if there's something in the headers, you need to handle the string, right? You need to read the string, and then you need to take the token out. And then you need to use that token to do what? You can like look at your database and find the token right away. From that, you can find the user, or you can do in multiple steps. For example, the first step, you decode the token. That's the reason why we use JWT. If we don't have to use JWT, if we don't need to decode, we can do something like we can just use the hash password as well. Why do we have to use JWT, right? We can use a hash password. And one more thing about JWT is it has something very cool, which I mentioned in the lab here. You can actually have another uh, condition here. For example, that token expire in 7 days. Just put in one more options when you sign the token, and then when you decode it, when you verify it using JSON JWT.verify, you actually you can use that logic as well. You can do something like where is it? Verify here. If you look at the date that you create your token, if you go to jwt.io, you can see it here. Scroll down a bit. When you decode, you actually see something like this, right? Here, IAT is like it's kind of like created at. And if you have this option, no, this option when you sign the token, right? If you have this option when you sign the token, you will see another key called EAT or IAT or something I forgot. Just something. It's basically available until some time, right? Available until that time, and you also have another key, something like this. I forgot the name here. Maybe available before T time or something like that. And here you can have another time or something like this. So when you use the verify here, the method verify here, actually it will look at these two attributes and we compare if that token is byte or not, right? I think it's EPT or SET or something like that. I forgot, but basically it will do it for you. Right, so any questions? Quickly. Question, I think it's too long now. Oh shit, 2 hours already. Recap? No, I think we did it step by step. The topic is very hard to understand at first, but you only do it like once for your application, and then if you have a new project, you will do it another one time. So you don't have to repeat those things many times in just one project, right? But it's this appear in every application, so you need to know the steps and how to do it. And if there's some error, you need to know how to fix it, right? Because there's a lot going on behind the scenes, like something like this. If you see that kind of question, error and you have no idea how your the flow of your application, you cannot you will not have no idea how to fix it. I would say this piece. Can you recap one more? You mean the whole thing or which one? The error part? Which error? This? The pre? All right. So this one, because if you take a look at the generate token here, right? When I try to generate a new token, and at the same time, I try to push the new token into my database, right? And I have to run a command like this.save, meaning write the current object into our database, right? And when I run this function, I run this method save here, I actually call this middleware, even though I don't want it, but it's executed by default whenever the save method here is called. And that's why Mongoose have something called this.isModify to check if we actually modify the password field or not. So as you can see, the password here is not modified because the new value and the old value is the same. The password inside our database and the password when we try to run this save, they are the same. I actually didn't change anything in that field. We only change the value inside the tokens, right? We push the new token to the original array, but we haven't touched anything about the password field. This password, it means this. We didn't modify anything about this password, anything in here. So that's why this one is gonna return false. False here when you log in again and again and again, it's gonna return false. And if this false or false is true, oh shit. False is true. So that's why, okay, false or false is true. And because it's true, it will skip these two lines. This one is true, and then it will skip these two lines. If we actually modify the password, the first time we log in, the first time we register, right? We actually modify the password, and this will be executed. This line will be will not execute, and this line will execute. Right? Is that clear? This way, okay. Oh shit! False or false is true, so that's why now I spot Hưng Nguyễn was right. This is not modify, not modify. Right? Are you clear, Nguyên? Yeah, I know. People are like very tired. Oh, that's fine. So is it clear for everyone, guys? Emily, Hưng, Khôi, Khải.
Yeah, it's clear.
Right. Cool. Hưng, yeah, I just have bugs. Okay, I have bugs all the time. All right. If no one has questions, I'm gonna stop. This one here is it's quite long already. All right. See you guys later. Just ask me if you have questions. See you. Thank you for being attentive. Stop. And how do you stop?